he admitted to this. He said, when people ask me how many employees I have, I tell them I have 24 employees. All of them are AI, but to me, they are employees. That's how he works with them. So he actually says, I have 24 employees. Welcome to King Moves. In chess, the king moves one step at a time, but that single move can change everything. Each week, we explore mindset shifts and simple actions that could lead to the next breakthrough in your business and life. I'm your co-host, Ethan King, from Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Entrepreneur, TEDx speaker, and best-selling author of Wealth Beyond Money.
And I'm your co-host, Justin King, no relation to Ethan, from Cape Town, South Africa. Entrepreneur, speaker, and business growth strategist. Our journey crosses continents and cultures as we think out loud, challenge assumptions, and uncover the small moves that create big momentum. Welcome to King Moves. Let's start the conversation.
If you're not employing anyone yet, then AI could possibly enable you to employ people that are AI people, but you're going to hit a point where maybe you do need an actual human to come in and, I guess, manage the AI at some point. And I was just listening to a presentation that's a few years old, and this guy was talking about scaling your business. And what he told the audience is that if you're trying to be a solopreneur and you're trying to not hire people and you're trying to do all the work yourself, then you're really thinking immature and that you're being a little bit selfish, and that in order to scale, in order to grow, you've got to invest in hiring people to be on your team. And now I wonder, as I was watching that, would he say the exact same thing today? Because there are more and more, and this is trending right now. Here we are, mid 2026. There are more and more solopreneurs who are pursuing and hitting 7 figures in revenue alone because they're empowered by AI, chasing 8 figures in revenue alone and just have an AI workforce. In fact, I saw one guy who said, he admitted to this. He said, when people ask me how many employees I have, I tell them I have 24 employees. All of them are AI, but to me, they are employees. That's how he works with them. So he actually says, I have 24 employees. Now, I feel like that's a little bit dishonest, but I get where he's going with that. Like, the mindset is that this isn't software. This AI is more like people. So I want to hear your thoughts on all of that.
Yeah, it's interesting. A client of mine refers to the fact that they've increased their workforce by essentially 83 people or whatever the number was, but those are agents. But they also they treat them and they speak about them and they speak about the roles that they fulfill in the business as roles that people would fulfill. So I really like that. But yeah, we finished off one of our previous episodes, and we touched on this topic of, are we living in a time where people are really able to start employing others outside of just AI agents? And I think we are, because we are able to build things that we couldn't have built previously. So for the non-technical individuals, we can actually now create a product, and we'll get it to a stage where, yeah, we might have a few agents or a few different AI elements helping us to run it, but more than likely we'll need to bring somebody in. But I think it's possibly more than that, because I think that there are going to be, we think we know what serial entrepreneurs are currently. And you and I both have friends who are serial entrepreneurs. You are a bit of a serial entrepreneur yourself. But I think we are going to see the evolution of the serial entrepreneur, because it's going to be people that figure out this, how to use AI to build. They're going to figure out the sweet spot of how to use AI to build maybe businesses of significance. And we've touched on the fact that there's probably going to be $1 billion, if there hasn't been already, $1 billion one-man business. But I think there's going to be people that are also able to have multiple income streams with many different businesses that don't have to be $1 billion businesses, but they might get them to a point, and then they bring a real person in to manage it. Because make no mistake, at some point there's got to be the conductor of the orchestra, and right. You'll want a good conductor in place for each of your businesses. And I think we're going to get to a point where there are going to be people that have one individual person running hundreds, 1,000 smaller businesses, and maybe employing 100 or 1,000 people, one person each, to run those businesses for them. So that's kind of where my mind goes with the opportunities right now.
So we all essentially are going to become robot managers, AI managers to some extent. I totally see us going in that direction. And it also makes me challenge the idea or the notion of you need to focus on one thing. There are so many books out there that are against multitasking and, oh, you lose so much time when you switch from task to task. And I don't think that's true anymore. In fact, talking to some of my colleagues, one guy asked me a question after my keynote last week. He said, what do you do when you have an agent working on something, and do you sit there and just wait for it to finish, or do you go talk to another agent, or do you go grab a cup of coffee? Because he finds that he's not sure what to do with that 5 minutes. Like if you give an agent a real task, he might be working on it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, 20 minutes. What I do is I talk to multiple agents. So I'll tell one thing, then I go to another one. So it's like I have multiple conversations going on, but each one of those conversations is me working on a different project. So I think it is much more efficient. Like this has amplified my multitasking to another level. I can't imagine not multitasking now.
As long as you're batching those within a similar kind of thought process. I think if you're jumping between a million different things that are not interconnected or related, maybe that's just me, but I think I would struggle with that. But if you're focusing on building out one new talk as an example, and you've got various agents digging deep into research on various parts, and then you're going to tie it all together and you're jumping around. But I would struggle with going deep on building a new talk and then doing something that's in my that I've got to do for a client around some other facilitation, because they're just not related. And maybe that's a me thing, Ethan. Maybe that's a me thing. But I would try batch the multiple. Yeah, I would try batch in some way.
Let me ask you this a different way. What if you think about your business in the way of Justin King Incorporated, okay? And you walk out onto the floor of your business and you're talking to your employees and you say hello to each and every one of them. Hey, what are you working on today? And employee A says, I'm working on this. And then you give him a little guidance. And then you walk to employee B. Hey, how's it going, Joe? And he's, what are you working on? And you give him a little guidance on that. He's working on his project. Okay. Then you walk to employee C and you give him a little guidance. Now you've walked through the floor. You've greeted everyone. You've given them direction on their project, their individual projects. How is that any different?
That's fair, I suppose, because you're ultimately not having to do all the, and I think that's where this is still new and some of us have to wrap our heads around, including myself. Is you not actually doing all that work yourself. You're prompting, you're delegating. So you become the conductor of the orchestra. Yeah. Okay. I can get that then. I can get, because you kind of skimming along the surface, and you can make those context switch because you're not having to go deep into it.
Right.
Exactly. That makes sense. We've got to land this one.
Okay. Well, that would be my king move. Like, think about, I say this over and over again, but think about AI more like people that you are delegating to. I mean, you just said it, where you're not going deep down the work, but you're pushing them along on each one of their projects that your each agent is working on. And essentially, you're the robot manager. Just own your role, adopt it, because that's what we're all going to become if we're not already.
You're the AI man. So you do it a lot. So you're already playing this conductor role. So I think if we've got somebody to learn from, it's going to be you. I'm only scratching the surface on having those multiple deep delegated tasks going on at any one stage. So I think for those of us that are still testing the waters, push the limits and see how many conversations you can, how many tasks you can have agents running at any one time, and see where you feel that you starting to lose focus yourself. But I think it's interesting. I think all of this is pushing what we ordinarily think we're capable of.
Yeah, maybe when you have that open loop going in your brain, that thing that you need to do, instead of just writing it down like I need to get to this, go ahead and start the conversation with an AI agent so they can at least be moving forward. That's a wrap for today's episode of King Moves. Quick favor before we go. If this episode made you think differently or helped you see your next move more clearly, take 30 seconds and leave us a review. It helps the show reach leaders who need these conversations. Remember, in chess, like in business, one right move can change everything.
Take today's action step, make your move, and build momentum. And if you found value in today's episode, share it with someone who's ready for the next breakthrough. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss our weekly conversations.
Until next time.